What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Here with another awesome interview. We're here with the lead singer, lead vocalist, guitarist of Hate, which is this incredible, legendary black metal band. And we're here with ATF Sinner. So, how's it going?
Very good. Glad to talk to you. And yeah, um, let's go through the questions and we'll see what's going on with the new album that is coming up very soon, right?
Yeah, Bell and Reggie's. It already sounds incredible, right? I'm very lucky to have listened to it beforehand. And I called you black metal, death metal. I apologize. In recent years, we've seen some incredible bands come out with death metal. I mean, just incredible, innovative music. And your album follows in these footsteps with very grand themes, but also grand sounding and very experimental music. Why do you think that is?
Mhm. Yeah, the one of the goals of ours is to, enrich the formula as much as possible and in case of this album, we actually were trying to redefine our style to some extent, working with a Swedish music producer, David Castillo, who is well known for working with bands like Catatonia and Carcass, Opeth, and Decapitated, and many, many more. The list is very long. He's a very experienced and sound engineer and a music producer. Um, so yeah, most of the album was recorded in his studio in Stockholm. It was partly recorded in Poland as well, but then we mixed it and mastered in his studio in Stockholm. So the goal was to redefine the formula when it comes to the sound and the production mainly, but also the we made this album with an extended lineup, so to speak, because we have on board a female vocalist, Eliza Saharczuk. She's Polish, but she used to live in Greece and she speaks perfect Greek. So I just wanted to use this opportunity and I selected some classical Greek phrases from those classical Greek tragedies from Aeschylus, and she sang them fantastically in Greek. So yeah, so this is one element, and also we collaborated again with my longtime friend. His name is Michał Stachkun. He's like a co-producer of the album. He was responsible for orchestrations and some synthetic sounds as well that we use a lot, like industrial type of sounds. So yeah, it was a great time for me working with all these people, and I'm really happy about this final results that we have with this album. Yeah.
I completely agree. I'm so glad you brought up Eliza because or Eliza, she's incredible. I mean, it really is beautiful singing, and I think it cuts through perfectly. I was gonna ask, how did you get that idea to bring in Greek singing into this album?
Yeah, there are lots of references to mythologies on the album, both Greek mythologies and Slavic mythologies as well. And I was looking for a voice that might fit in well in this, this story, this strong theming on this album. And Elisa happens to be a wife of one of my friends, so it was kind of discovery for me. Um, and yeah, somebody simply suggested that I should try to do something with her on the album, and yeah, we did some pre-recording first. It was very promising, and then we met in the studio near Warsaw here, and we did the recording within just one day, I think. So yeah, it proved to be very very effective. Mhm.
I completely agree. One day is incredibly impressive, and the mythology aspect of this album really is a highlight in my opinion. Just seeing like even the album cover, for example, seeing that
Yeah.
mixed in perfectly with all the theming How did you get so educated and so interested into mythology?
Mythologies, they, generally speaking, they convey some universal messages about humanity, I believe, the essence of who we are. And the stories in mythologies, they describe dramas and situations that are very true to our life right now, right here. You know what I mean? They're very universal. So that's why I make a lot of references to mythologies, and it's a great source of inspiration as well. And and it's no different on this album. This album is like there are lots of references to mythologies of different of mainly to Greek mythology and to Slavic mythologies. And what I'm interested in most is, I would say, this the essence of human soul, so to speak, and especially the darker part of it, this more obscure part of it, okay, which some call Satan, some other call just the dark part of human spirit or whatever. But that's really interesting to me, and that's what I have always been trying to explore. And yeah, and on this album, I do it from the perspective of, let's say, conflict and war and rivalization and competition. And the album's cover that you mentioned is where we can see the king, but he's not a like triumphant monarch, but this it's a guy who has been through a lot of ordeals and different types of struggles. So the only attribute of him being the king is the crown, and he's like clinging to it, and it symbolizes, I think, all this lust for power and glory and struggle that comes with it, and the price that you have to pay for it as well, because this all pursuit for power is simply costs lives of and suffering of people, and also cost those who take part in this run, with this pursuit. So it's a symbolic a picture, I think. It has been done fantastically by one of the designers that we've been working with for many years. His name is Daniel Rushiwowicz. Is a good friend of ours, and yeah, and it's full of symbolism, which is great from my point of view.
You bring up a very interesting point. Throughout that, I'm so glad you explained all of that because those were questions I was going to ask and you hit it perfectly. You talk
Thank you.
about the soul, right? And the
Mhm.
dark part of the soul. I love that. I think you've explored that through your past albums that have been a little bit more darker. And I agree, right? This album kind of hits a different aspect of it, not entirely focused on the dark side, but what like you were talking, an ordinary guy who gets power and is corrupted. So I would love to just talk about that more because you put it into words so beautifully. That dark part of the soul, do you think that that is maybe almost like people are biased talking about it and people almost, like you said, you called it Satan. Do you think that's necessarily a bad thing, the dark part of the soul, or is that something that we should explore more and maybe come to terms with instead of just banishing and trying to shut out of our lives?
I mean, however we would like to banish every one of us has this, darker part of their selves, and and today, from the place where I am, which is Eastern Europe right now, okay, I can see this conflict going on in Ukraine all the time, and I see this, let's say, relative world order simply crushing down, and what is come up is the rivalry between countries and nations um, reappearing, I would say, after a long period of stability, uh, relative stability. Let's call it like that,
Yeah.
and this multipolar world is reappearing again, and this is um, this is also a thing that really inspires me to observe it, and the war is an extreme example of it. I mean, if we talk about this the shade of the human spirit, war is the place where it is really thriving. I mean, you can see it every day if you go through some reports from the war in Ukraine, which I do, because it's so close to us simply, and also it is something that those extreme conditions is the place where people are, they face like real dramas and real ordeal, and yeah, it simply makes you think about it more and more, and this is probably the great source of inspiration for me as well. That's where the whole album was inspired by, I think. Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that up, especially because now I think that that war's been getting a little bit less press in general, you know? So I'm very
Mm-hmm.
glad you brought that up, and you do bring very interesting points to the table, especially seeing that in your backyard, you know? So I think that
Mm-hmm.
that is fantastically interesting and tragic, you know? Incredibly tragic.
It is. It is. I mean, the time of war is the time where all the bad instincts, let's say, all this, darker part comes to light, um, or we can put it in some other words, but that's what's going on. It's simply the all those instincts are reappearing, and this is from one point of view, it's absolutely tragic. From another point of view, it's is very interesting, even fascinating, I would say. And it yeah, it makes you think about it, and the it's a on the album we pose this big question, and this question is, why are we so, as humans, are we so strongly inspired by concepts like power and glory, whatever it is, and wealth, and sometimes religion as well. And a, there is no easy answer to this, but this is something that everybody knows on this level or another level. I mean, everybody is facing some kind of competition or rivalization in life, and the I would say the worst form of it is war, of course, because their lives are at stake, and but it is all inspired by politics, and it is all inspired by this pursuit for glory and power. So it's interesting what it really is, and why are we so much inspired by this type of thing, you know?
Yeah, and especially considering how relevant the album is in 2025, with kings being major politicians, you know, hint
Exactly.
hint, cough cough, and
Yeah,
what's going on, you know? Um,
exactly.
I think that brings me to my next question, which is this album is so packed with relevance, with cultural relevance, and with significance in metaphors, in similes, just in the writing of the whole thing. I'm hoping you'll be able to tour this. You know, do you have plans to come tour the world and spread the gospel?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And right now we should be, for example, in America, North America, playing this tour with Belphegor, but we did not get the American working visas because some regulations have suddenly changed when Donald Trump became the president, and now we are still going through this procedure, gathering more what they call evidence. Okay, so we are applying again, I think next week. So once
Okay.
we get the American visas, we'll be able to come not just once, but maybe 2 or 3 times for a like full-fledged tour
Good.
in both the US and Canada. And yeah, and we did that in the past a few times. So we have, like, say, positive record of visits in America. But as you say, it doesn't count anymore. You need to prove again who you are and what you do and everything. So I'm complaining a bit right now,
No,
but
I get
it
it.
is what it is.
It's kind of messed up, honestly, because so many tours have been canceled. This is a completely different style of music, but there's a lady who goes by the name of FKA Twigs. She's British. She makes experimental dance, I guess, is no way to put a name to it, quite like your
Mhm.
music, right? But she was supposed to come to US, do a whole tour, like arenas, and it got canceled because of the visa problems. And it's happening
Yeah.
to more and more artists. I think it's kind of messed up, but it makes sense to a point, right? Like, as an artist, to see what's happening in the United States with the current politicians, there's also a point where it's like, do I want to tour the United States with what's going on? It's
I
a
mean,
sad story.
yeah, it is. It is, but still, we care a lot about our fans and followers in the US,
Appreciate it.
and this is one of our priorities to get those fucking visas finally and just simply do that.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, we're going on European tour in what, 2 weeks with Venom Inc.
Ooh.
And then we do one tour in South America, has been already announced with Ultimas that will be covering some 6 or 7 countries in South America and Mexico. So America is, it's very important. So we should definitely be going, and we're working on it. Yeah,
I'm glad to hear. I hope you come to Atlanta too. That's
yeah.
where all the metalheads are, okay? You need to come to Atlanta.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, again, I really appreciate you to come talk to me to explain your whole world to the rest of us. I cannot wait for you to come. I cannot wait to revel in the glory. And I just appreciate you and your whole group making innovative, creative, and uplifting yet melancholy music that will punish you but reward you. It's
Thank you
very
for this
lyrical and beautiful, and
description. I like it.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. So again, just thank you so much, and
Thanks
keep
very
doing
much,
what you're
man.
doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, enjoy the album and everything that comes with it.
Yes,
Soon.
sir. You have a good day.
Yeah, you too.